Okay, we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our May Gender Equity Commission meeting. We're going to start with our roll call. When I call your name, please wave your hand or say here so we can get a record of you being here. That is my child who just woke up from his nap who is calling. So you know what? We're home. It is what it is, right? Okay, Commissioner Coffey.
Present.
Commissioner Davidson.
Here.
Commissioner Gross. Commissioner Hale.
Here.
Commissioner Hall.
Here.
You're taking roll. Thank you. Commissioner Hanson.
Here.
Commissioner Higginbotham.
Here.
Commissioner Corbel. Commissioner Manuel.
Present.
Commissioner Newman. Commissioner Overton.
Here.
Hey, I am here, everyone. Hello. Commissioner Ramey.
Here.
Commissioner Schultz. And Commissioner Walker.
Here.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so consent agenda. I do believe that it was just the meeting minutes. Did everyone get a chance to look over them? And if not, yes, please.
I apologize for the lateness, and I was not there because I was getting my second COVID vaccine. As you know, you have no control over when they schedule those. So
Absolutely.
I apologize, and obviously, unless somebody else took meeting minutes for the working meeting, they are not in the folder since I could not do that. So I apologize.
That's okay. And
Owning my lateness.
well, thank you for that. And also, I am so glad that you were able to get your second shot. I'll tell you what, why don't we do this? Why don't we table for June? And then we'll vote on April and May's minutes during our June meeting. That way commissioners have more of a chance to read through them properly. That's my recommendation. And I do believe that's the only thing that I saw in the consent agenda. How do we feel about that? Tabling the April minutes until June? Okay. All right, so we'll do that. So we'll just wait, and April's minutes will be a part of the June's consent agenda to vote on. Okay, great. We're rolling right along, everyone. Okay, Executive Director, do you have anything that you would like to share?
Yes. And you know, this is another thing that's been evolving. And so commissioners, please do continue to communicate with the chair and directly with me about things you'd like me to include in the executive director report. While you all have been so busy doing the things that you do and your wonderful service as a group to the city, which is very much appreciated. I've been continuing to work with AAUW. So I meet every other week with Mia and Andrea, who are our contacts, and who just have a ton of experience with the salary negotiation workshop. Director Emanuel and I are in the queue to become facilitators, and we should put on a sort of discussion just if other commissioners would make sense to also become trained facilitators. We had, of course, the committee, which was Director Emanuel, Sarah Hanson may have been the chair, or Amanda Nitrar. You worked in a very non-hierarchical way in a lot of ways, but I think that's what the committee was. They worked really hard and planned for these. We'd hoped they'd be in person, but we do have 10 salary negotiation trainings happening. And I'm, the point person. We had a few different delays. We've had 2 out of the 10 already. And I'm hoping that after the June, so the next 2 will be June 1st. I'll send this in an email so you know it, and it'll go out in the next newsletter. Sorry, it may not. It may have to go out before that. Sorry, I'm just thinking dates. But June 1st at 5:45 p.m. And we were thinking about trying 2 different times because we want to make sure as many people as possible can attend, and then also use them each as opportunities to tell people, hopefully, about several of the next ones. There is an online version, so we also want to encourage people to do some of the learning themselves, which they have access to through this is basically a city provided service. And so I know sometimes it's hard to see, but the value I think that these trainings offer, the response from people who reached out to me, both this and the Appointments Project, people are seeing, I guess, maybe signs of hope, ways to get engaged, to be civically involved. In the case of salary negotiation training, with so many women in particular, but all sorts of people feeling these workplace transitions and stresses and loss of income and health concerns. This is actually also adding to their professional development. So in a time when people are really nervous about their ability to thrive at work, this is giving them something to focus on. So I really encourage commissioners on either June 1st at 5:30, excuse me, I don't know why I said 5:45, and June 10th at noon. Are the two. I will send this to you. I'll get you all the information. We don't have a public link yet. We really ramp up the communications both in the city, and then AAUW pushes it out. And so we do that. We're finding right now people's attention span, there's about a 50% drop off from event sign up to event attendance. And that's guaranteed, and sometimes it's even worse than that. So it's the last week that we really want to make the push and really catch people's attention and make them choose this over the million other things they can do online. And so I'm working very closely with our communications team in the mayor's office and the AAUW team. And we want to keep getting more and more people to attend. I think 100 people, we don't want to go much past that, but since it is virtual and if that allows some people easier access, and then who knows when, but maybe we'll have a couple in person, we'll see. So the workforce equity committees, even despite COVID and delays and things, work is happening, and you as a commission have helped provide a direct service to people in need in the city. I would like, and the committee should clarify their own preferences here. I would love it if there were commissioners who wanted to be a guest, like, introduce the training, maybe talk about what you do, in terms of gender equity. That's just something that the AUW folks have been recommending, because then it's more diverse faces. You can also draw on your contacts maybe. So that's just something to put out there on your radar. But I highly encourage you to watch them. It's a really educational, based on research, current, it's all just very good to know. So the other thing is some of you were here earlier, Dominique Branson, whose name may be familiar to some of you. She worked on the PIGR report and is a graduate student doing fascinating work, sociolinguistics and social justice, how language and racism go hand in hand, and other kinds of systems of power and oppression, and has been assigned a fellowship and granted a fellowship to the University of Pittsburgh, and is going to be working with us all summer. We had our first meeting yesterday. I will be arranging a meeting with the chair in a couple weeks. I'll start introducing Dominique to some of the other folks in the Office of Equity who work with City Council, so she can start to get some questions answered, and then hopefully Dominique will be working with us through the end of July, and that there are 200 hours dedicated to us, and so to have a highly trained researcher already very familiar with you, who's just a wonderful person to work with. I am very excited to introduce Dominique to all of you. And I told her this was a great way to get a sense of what we're about. And I also gave her the homework of going over our web pages, both to learn about us and then to tell me if there are any just really obnoxious mistakes or flaws that I can fix, since, as you know, I maintain the website, and then there are lots of constraints as a government site with security and other things. So I do my best, but always happy for feedback and ways to make it better and have it help educate more people, because we do have sections that really like, and Dr. Ramey brilliantly produces a gender and sex 101 guide. I can't remember exactly the title, but we've had that on our website, and I need to update it probably if you've got a latest version. I've had people tell me how helpful they found it, that we in the city of Pittsburgh are helping people understand what is a pronoun, why does that matter, you know, all of those important things about gender diversity. So Dominique, I don't know if you want to just say hello or tell anybody, and I realize I use pronouns, but maybe I don't know your pronouns.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be with you all this summer. As Anu mentioned, my name is Dami, or Dominique, whatever you prefer to call me, and my pronouns are she, her. As she mentioned, I do research on African American English in the courtroom and just try to see ways that we can better proceed with witnesses and defendants who speak African American English and make sure that they have a fair trial. Also, as she mentioned, I was a part of the team that did the Pittsburgh Inequality Across Gender and Race report from 2019. So I'm really excited to be back with you all, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the summer.
And I know capacity is always one of our biggest concerns, that there's one staff person. And so this is, I think, just a wonder. For me, I'm just very excited about this opportunity to continue doing our work. And I filled Dummy in on the Workforce Equity Initiative, and really about continuing to maximize our ability to engage local communities who are diverse, and, you know, really hearing those voices that don't often get access to power in government. So I think that there's a really great opportunity here. And Dummy, at some point, we should talk about, I'll talk with the chair, we should figure out how there may be ways to tap into committees and support their work, right? And to keep things aligned, because I think also just helping with the newsletter, because whenever I've had interns or volunteers work with me, I think just someone else doing it brings fresh ideas, excitement, and then helping with the next with the summer monthly meetings. And just, I think that's a great skill. If you haven't done it before, you will learn how to plan a public meeting for local government.
Well, I just want to say welcome. We're so excited to have you. Anybody who has a background in education such as yours, who's also passionate about this work, is more than welcome. And again, we're grateful for your time. So thank you so much. And it's also exciting to introduce you to everyone who watches, and to know that we have you and your support, and also anything that we can do to, of course, support you, because we know that opportunities like this should be two-sided, right? And so I definitely look forward to meeting with you and finding more about what you hope to get out of this experience, and also learning from you what you feel makes the most sense in terms of the skill set that you bring. And so Anu, thank you so much for the introduction and the explanation. And Dominique, you tell us, by the way, what you prefer. But either way, welcome. And we're so grateful to have you, and thank you for choosing to be with us. And anything else for your report before we wrap up?
The last thing I'll mention is our second policy recommendation from Building an Equitable New Normal was just about disaggregated data. I now have a briefing book, and I'm working with Innovation and Performance. There's a new team that's working on data services. So they're very excited to start brainstorming, like, what would it look like to start collecting disaggregated data in a systematic way that allows us to track inequities in terms of city budgeting, services, et cetera. And so that the conversations are just starting. What the Chatham intern team, and they were phenomenal. This was an opportunity with a public policy class through a combination of mayor's office and city council to get students to be able to work on actual policy problems. So really nice fit, really great. The students loved it. They felt that they really learned a lot about gender equity. So I feel like we're doing a lot of good work with this kind of mentoring and bringing, you know, I'm going to be 50 next year, so much younger people into the work, or more into the work in some ways. But it was just a wonderful experience. And their research, they said that there's actually really no great models out there. I think probably the best people who have the ability to really access disaggregated data is to use it for an equity analysis, as we're trying to do with our ongoing gender analysis work of the city. They tend to be corporations with really deep pockets. And so they've given us best practices and they've tested some things out. And so I'm gonna liaise with Dami and Innovation and Performance and the Office of Equity. And I think we could try and pilot something, you know, find a unit in the city. And so we're gonna do what the mayor's response to our policy recommendations was to encourage us to make suggestions for a pilot program. So that recommendation is going forward.
So that's wonderful. Is there a way to provide an opportunity perhaps for the Gender Analysis Committee to meet with, liaise, talk to, you know, perhaps support the work?
Yes, absolutely. And I think basically once that committee starts meeting, I think the first thing is maybe we'll look at the briefing book my interns put together and throw out some ideas. And meanwhile, I'll be having the conversations with the other groups and then we'll bring everyone together. But I think I know it feels incredibly slow and glacial, but the recommendations are making a difference. And we're also, I think, making the conversation about gender equity in Pittsburgh somewhat less siloed, because we are getting people from a lot of different organizations and nonprofits and education. The corporate world, we still need to tackle. We want those private employers. Workforce equity.
Well, I was going to say that's where the nth party work comes in, and so you know it's all related. It's all related, and so a lot of analysis opportunities coming up. So you know, again, what I said about committees, there may be some reconsiderations in the future, but you know, we'll see. So Anu, thank you for that update. A lot of great stuff happening. I'm really glad to see that the trainings are moving forward. Again, for everyone who's here, who's watching us right now, the city of Pittsburgh is supporting. So there is a cost, but the city is covering it to ensure that there is no financial barrier for residents learning how to advocate for themselves, either when looking for a job or even when trying to get the pay they deserve or the promotional pay they deserve. And it is a really important partnership and initiative spearheaded by AAUW to get, I believe, 10 million women trained in self-advocacy and salary negotiation by the year 2030. And so the city of Pittsburgh is doing its part. And so I'm really excited to hear that there's 2 more trainings being provided in June, more to come. So organizations that are interested in hosting training, please reach out to our executive director. Everyone else, please continue to keep an eye out on the newsletters and announcements put out by the communications team for the city. And also really exciting to hear about disaggregated data that's being taken seriously, that there's another policy recommendation that was put forth by the Gender Equity Commission that is being, you know, considered and followed through, and also the opportunity for us to be a part of, you know, to lend our expertise to that initiative is very exciting. So thank you, Anu. So the agenda as it stands, unfortunately, Henry Pyatt is not able to join us today. So
he does send his apologies. The conflict came up.
He did send his apologies, and that is a meeting that, you know, we'll look to possibly rescheduling in the future. I think that the work that they're doing around financial stability in the community is very much in line with some of our concerns regarding closing those gaps and getting information out there. And so we'll work to get that rescheduled. Just so you all know. Okay, is Jordan with us today by chance? I know that we're much earlier than normal. Was Jordan planning on presenting anything today or no? Okay.
No,
Just
and
sure.
I think that especially with the new funding streams, and I'm glad that came up in the earlier part of the conversation, there are a lot of people really focused on that. And there've been, I mean, also the election. So there's just a lot of things
Right.
that have been coming. And, you know, and if you haven't heard, they have made some decisions. And I know, I mean, we're now entering this new phase, and the Gender Equity Commission being so new and crafting everything from the beginning, COVID, you know.
Absolutely. It's fine. I just want to, I mean, I just
No. I was going to say this
If
might
Jordan-
be a tiny bit of good news that they are
Okay,
going to
okay.
have fireworks at Point Park. So that's been something that folks have been working on because they canceled it last year. So for
Okay.
people watching at home, maybe, if you feel comfortable and safe, and then also they're going to allow block parties. So if that's something you want to do, the city of Pittsburgh encourages you to do that. So I just want to say there may be some sense of people being able to be in community in person. So that's just what's been going on. Nothing else to report.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you. All right. So, I didn't hear of any, but is there anyone from the public who requested to speak today? Okay.
Nope,
we'll have comments. Well, commissioners, it is 4:23. Is there anything that anyone wanted to bring forward for discussion at this time?
I think we hit a record with shortest commission meeting ever.
So,
Love the efficiency and the effectiveness, so.
Oh, although, could I make one suggestion? Since Henry's
Okay.
not here, I could point everyone at least to the webpage.
Yes, I think that's a
they
great
can learn
idea. Publicly state what the website is, and maybe in the next newsletter, put the webpage in the newsletter.
Absolutely. Let me
Okay.
make 2 notes so I remember that. Okay. And they have been in the newsletter before, but just I want the work. There was a press release last couple of weeks that some of you may have seen. It's really proving to be a very direct, a way to solve some direct, immediate problems that people are having in economic terms, and to really get people to a place of greater stability, right? We want everyone to be able to be in a place of as much financial health and other mental health stability as possible. So if you go to the webpage for the Gender Equity Commission, which is pittsburghpa.gov/GEC, you will see at the top of this page, so you will see a link to workforce equity. And when you link on that, there is a description of the fantastic work that our commissioners have been doing, that especially during COVID, a 3-pronged approach. One is current free to all Pittsburghers training, salary negotiation training, which has really been shown to help with some gender equity problems in the workforce. Creating a workforce equity council. We're really looking for employers in all sectors to join with us and commit to making good, equitable, gender smart policy. And then the third part is that we're continuing to update the city government's own employment policies, and the director of human resources and civil service, Janet Manuel, as a gender equity commissioner, makes it much more possible to do that, to really be role models, but to also borrow best practices and lessons. At the very top of that page, there is a link to economic opportunity throughout the mayor's office. So many of my colleagues in the Office of Equity work on different aspects. And these are, once again, services that are these are services for all Pittsburghers. And so if you go to our webpage, it'll take you to a few things, services that Pittsburghers are finding really helpful right now. And one is the Financial Empowerment Center, which is free one-on-one financial counseling. And from what I understand, they are seeing a lot of women, because women have been especially hit hard. They were already facing all these inequalities in the workforce and financially. I tend to have fewer savings. Women started businesses that have been the first to shut down. So all of these things mean that people have lots of immediate needs. They help people with things like credit score.
So you said
Sometimes
it was
that can
called
be
the
a
Financial
barrier
Empowerment
to
Center? Financial,
So if you go to pittsburghpage.gov, you can also go to the mayor's office, and it's called, there's a tab for economic opportunity.
okay,
That links back to the Gender Equity Commission as well, and our initiatives, but it has the Pittsburgh Financial Empowerment Center, free one-on-one financial counseling. You
Okay.
schedule it, you work with someone, and it could be your credit score or mortgage application. It's just what you need.
Financial
And so
empowerment.
they're doing wonderful work. Yeah,
That's awesome.
and bank
So
on Allegheny
thank you.
County.
You know, Anu, you almost could have given the
Yeah.
right? No, but seriously, thank you.
It's exciting. It's really,
I'm really
yeah.
glad that the link is going to be in the newsletter, because I think it's important for more people to know about the services that are being provided by the city. And honestly, just, before we move to wrap up, a consideration is always accessibility to information, because there's a lot of good information out there, a lot of good services out there, but if people don't know about it, and so there's so many good things and good services out there that are free that we need to make sure that people know about. So thank you so much for making sure that we at least got a little bit of information. Again, we'll see about having Henry come do perhaps a more in-depth, but again, Anu, thank you for that great overview. So everyone, it is 4:29. And I don't believe in having a meeting last just for the sake of lasting. We have worked hard with our working meeting as well as this. And I know that now that our committees have been formed, there's some work to be done in the future. We're going to figure this Slack thing out. And so do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a
So moved.
motion to adjourn our meeting.
Okay, I
I'll
think
second.
perfect. So Commissioner Higginbotham has made a motion and Commissioner Walker has seconded. All right, all in favor? Great, let's do this. Everyone have a